What's up everyone, my name is Mike and welcome back to my channel, and today we're going to talk about the Matt Gandeck Weapons Rack Series 1 drop as well as the Failure of Control drop, both happening on the same day. My thoughts about these, and not necessarily a price prediction, but an interesting thing that I've been thinking about with this weapons rack. Let's get into this. So we got this announcement of this weapons rack by Matt Gandeck being dropped this Saturday. And then this Friday, we had this Easter egg of his Failure of Control art piece popping up in certain social media posts. And it was uncovered that this is the secondary drop on the same day by the same artist. Now, Matt Gandeck is a deconstructive pop artist whose work is possessed by a punk rock spirit, celebrating rebellion and destruction. And I didn't make that up. That's actually on his website. I honestly, personally do not know much about art or contemporary artists, but I am fascinated by it and the works that people are producing. And deconstructive pop art is pretty interesting in my opinion, and actually the work that he puts out there. You can actually see a series of his works on his website, and everything from Disney characters, Simpsons characters, Dragon Ball Z, Pink Panther, Mario, and a bunch of different popular characters that he's used in his art, and I really actually like it. However, being that the weapons rack was the first thing that I saw of his and of his art, I was a little bit confused about it and what it actually represented. And the backstory makes a little bit more sense when you actually read about it. Essentially, he was inspired by the summer of 2020 protests and rioting in downtown Los Angeles. This gave birth to his idea of having a weapons rack at home. Now, when I saw this weapons rack, I didn't quite understand it. I thought it was interesting that he's inspired by having a weapons rack at home, and so it's inspired by readily available items in a household per se. But it wasn't until further investigation that it actually really made sense with what I saw with this piece of art. And what I see is actually when you used to buy a model, or when you still do buy a model that you assemble, you get those little tabs that has the piece that you need to twist off of it to disconnect it. And this is what this is you can see that each weapon is attached to this rectangular like tab that you can essentially pull it off, twist it off, and you have the weapon. And this just put my head into overdrive about what this really means in the future, possibly with the Veveverse or just this work of art in general. It's not necessarily something that you see a lot of on Matt Gandeck's website with his portfolio. You don't see this type of work, at least recently, from what I kind of scrolled through there. This seems more like a Veve Matt Gandeck collaboration, where perhaps Veve expressed their vision of the future with their platform, and Matt Gandeck obviously had something inspired from what he experienced in his home of LA and thought, what if he put this piece of artwork together for Veve, considering that it's an NFT and it could have utilization in the Veveverse or in some sort of way in the future for Veve. This doesn't seem like a piece where Matt Gandeck created it and then came to Veve and said, this is something that works for you. This feels a little bit more of a collaboration attempt here. And there's really two ways I see this working in some way, shape, or form. And the possibilities are really endless between these two different ways. But the first way I see this being used is if there is some sort of utility in the Veveverse or in a game some way where you can actually take one of these weapons and take it off their tab and use it in some way with a character, with a collectible, or just in the game or in building a model of some sort. So there's utility that way that I kind of can see. The second way is a little bit more interesting, and it's something that I thought a little bit about and how it could actually work. But imagine you bought the 4 different rarities and you were given a chance, let's say 1 per rarity, to change the way it looks. And you could combine rarities, because with these rarities you see different colors. Perhaps you get 1 chance to change and customize your edition. So for example, you could take the yellow bat and change it with the blue bat, or however you would want to customize this weapons rack. But essentially what you would be doing is you would be creating a piece of art within a piece of art, where you could have the only edition of that combination of weapons, being that they're all different colors, or a variety of them are different colors. You could have a one-of-one piece within this series of artworks. That gets a little bit more fascinating, especially if you're limited to the amount of pieces that you can remove and place. It gets a little bit more interesting if once you've removed a piece, you actually can't put a piece back on. That artwork has changed forever, and there's no way of going back, much like it would be if you had a model that was intact that you never put together. And what if there becomes some sort of utility for these weapons and people start taking their weapons off the weapons rack? Therefore, there would be only a certain amount of weapons racks of that specific rarity where none of the weapons have actually come off. You've got a piece that has never changed and it's been removed. This is like the physical collectible world where you could have a collectible that has been damaged in some way from you playing with it, but the collectible that's fully intact, that hasn't changed, is going to be worth more than that damaged one, even though they're the same. Imagine having a model that was never put together, still in its box. That model is going to be more expensive than the one that has been assembled because it's been untouched. This is where I see this going with this, and the more I think about it, the more excited I get about this piece of artwork. Whereas when I first saw it and I first looked at it, I was a little bit disappointed. But the possibilities are endless with this, and I actually really like this now. I was actually not going to go for this drop, and now I've decided that I am. And depending on the price in the aftermarket, I may actually pick it up, but I'm not setting a price prediction for this. I'm going to think about this a little bit further, see the way the market moves, and then make my decision. If I don't get it, I'm not too worried about it. And that's just because the way that the market's moving right now, I'm actually gonna have a video on this and what I think is gonna happen in the near future. So I'm just kind of holding off on the market in general. All of these have a list price of 60 gems. And starting with the common, we've got the pink silver weapons rack, and it sees 7,777 editions. We've got the pink blue set. It's an uncommon. It has 6,777 editions. We've got the silver black set. It's the rare, and it has 4,777 editions. And then we've got the gold black set. It's the ultra rare, and it has 1,777 editions. With all of these and the way they look, obviously I want the ultra rare for both its rarity as well as just the way it looks. It looks awesome. And then we've got the Matt Gandeck failure of control. And this is meant to just represent a failure of control, chaos, a chaotic painting. And this is actually based on a real painting that he did and was in his 2019 exhibition Control. So this is pretty interesting, and with 5,000 editions and a list price of 200 gems, it is a rare. Though this painting is a lot more interesting to me than the weapons rack, at least my initial thought on the weapons rack, it's probably something that I'm not going for. I don't actually have quite the interest in getting this at that list price. Perhaps it will list in the aftermarket below this. I don't think it will. I think it will be more than this, but perhaps in the future we'll see a dip and you'll be able to get it at a better price than what this list price is. Once again, with how cool this painting looks, I'm not counting on it, but it's also something that I'm not going to pursue at this point in time on the Veve platform. Let me know if you're getting it. And with all that being said, I am really excited for what this weapons rack really means to the future of Veve, the utilization behind it, the thought process at least behind it. I'm extremely excited. If you have any differing ideas, leave it in the comment section below. Let me know what you thought about my thoughts in this video in the comment section. Like this video if you found it helpful in any way, shape, or form. If you found something interesting, like goes a long way for me. And subscribe to my YouTube channel for more Veve content. Thank you so much for watching.